Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy video, and today we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the battle system and just see what we can figure out and learn based on some recent posts. So, I am following the official Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy Twitter, and they have been making posts here and there, and they are kind of giving us a little bit maybe more information than what we've seen. So right here we do have this interesting image here that talks about the battle flow. So one of my big concerns or big, worries about the game is what's the battle system going to be like? I shouldn't say necessarily like a worry at this point, but it's the biggest factor that's going to determine whether I actually like the game or not. And I think this is going to be a big thing for most people. And I think we've already pretty well established that this isn't going to be DFFOO 2. It's definitely a different style of game than Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So let's take a look at it here. So we've got this image here. They actually have a video with some gameplay on it, and I'm going to go ahead and rewind it here. But let's just read what it says first, and then we'll play the video, and we're going to try to dissect this and try to figure out what is going on with the battle system here, right? So it's explaining what the flow of battle is. So it's saying accumulate bravery by defeating monsters around crystals for lots of bravery or rival players to steal their bravery, okay? So right here, when I was talking about the PvP thing, my initial idea was that it was going to be like, all right, we're all fighting the same boss, and it's just who can beat the boss faster. But no, it's actually going to be more true PvP. We can see here in this image, like these are player characters back here, and it specifically says right here, so there's going to be a mixture of monsters, and the other player characters are going to be running around here, and we can attack them for bravery, okay? Then it says at 9,999 bravery, you can activate Brave Burst. And then while Burst is active, that is when you can actually use your abilities here to attack the boss. So what you can see here in this picture right here in this moment, it says 7270 of 999, right? So at this point in the game, all you're doing is you are running around and you're attacking player characters and you're attacking enemy mobs to build up Brave, okay? And then what's going to happen is this button is going to change into a burst mode button, and then we can attack the boss. So let's just watch this in action and see what happens here. So you can see that looked like an enemy there. That's another just random enemy mob. Okay, and then attacking the crystal. So that's the other thing there too, right? That's an element that they don't really talk about here, but you can purify the crystals. But we noticed when that crystal got purified, he got a lot of brave. So Cloud is building up to over 8,000 brave right now, so we can once again watch again. So here we are attacking a player character, launching them, okay? Okay, and now we activated burst mode here. You see this button lit up into burst, so once you activate all of your brave, or you get your brave fully built up, then we're going to go into burst here. So then in burst mode, we are allowed to go in and actually attack the boss, and that's when we're tapping these buttons down here, and we are doing all of these attacks, okay? So that's what we're seeing in the picture. We can watch it again to see. It looks like these attacks are still usable outside of burst, because you can see they're all activated here, right? Let's pay attention here and see if any of these attacks are actually used, or if we're just doing like basic attacks. It feels like we're just doing basic attacks, but these buttons are lit up. So that's the one thing I guess that isn't super clear here, is can I use these when I'm building burst? I mean, they are glowing a little bit differently now that burst mode is active, so it might be that these are only usable on the boss, right? So out here, maybe it's just basic attacks. The other thing to look at out here too, so attacking the crystal actually purifies it. Right here, you can see we're like holding and getting a gauge, and we're getting like a drag down menu here. So I mean, I feel like what this is you're basically just tapping on the screen to do attacks. You'll see arrows on the screen a lot, and I think you're basically like flicking directions to run, things like that. I'm guessing if you just click and hold, it'll activate this charge attack. But you can see this looks like it's just like a basic attack. Like no buttons on the bottom were pressed. So yeah, it looks like it's a lot of just tapping, basic attacks, charge attacks to build up your brave. Then when you get into here, once again, we are actually seeing these buttons being pressed, and it looks like they're flicked upward, right? You can see the buttons kind of flying upward. So yeah, that looks like that's what the battle system is going to be like. Now, one thing I want to say, there still isn't a lot explained here, right? The game is explained as 3 versus 3 battles. And so my initial thought was I'm building a team of 3 and an opponent's building a team of 3 and we're battling each other, right? People in the comments, some people were saying it doesn't work like that. There's different thoughts to how this works. Somebody told me that it's just like you control one character and it's actually 3 teams and each team has one character. I don't think that's what it is either. So I think it's a combination of these ideas. So I think it is 3v3. I think I'm building a team of 3, and I think this is my opponent's team of 3 right here, okay? And what I think it is, though, I think you do actually only control one character. Like, we only see Cloud this entire video. We don't see this change. I don't see any UI here that would show me how to change characters. Other than maybe these attacks, potentially maybe these can only be attacks from people on my team, but these all look like a lot of Cloud pictures in the image, right? And there's another slide I'm going to show you in a second that talks about like who can equip what, right? So this is kind of what my theory is. My theory is I'm still building a team of 3, and I'm controlling one of my 3 team members. My other 2 team members are just AI controlled, and they're running around, and my opponent can attack them, right? So like if I'm looking at these 3, I think this is one opponent team, and maybe this, I don't know, this person has a weird symbol above their head. Maybe this is the character that they're actually controlling, and then the other 2 are just AI running around. That's going to be my theory right now. Once again, nothing's been confirmed yet. I guess there is, like, this is a boss symbol up here, so maybe that's just a symbol showing that they're ready to attack the boss, or they're attacking the boss. I don't know. A lot of things still unclear, right? But it might be that my 2 AI-controlled characters, they still will attack. They're doing passive skills, things like that to help. So we'll have to see. The bad part about that type of system is then I don't, you know, you wouldn't have as much control over the characters, and you still feel like you're only playing one, which, I mean, there would still be an importance to team building, but it's a lot funner when I'm actually doing stuff with all 3 characters, right? So that's my initial feeling right now, is you're just controlling one of them, but maybe there will be a way to switch. A lot of it probably won't be clear until we actually get the beta, right? Okay, let's look at another slide here. So they have another slide up here. Okay, so this one here, we can go into this one. So it says characters can equip up to 5 abilities, which I think we all pretty much gathered that from the intro video. But it includes abilities that character can use, that any character can use, as well as character specific. So some abilities will be general that anyone can use, and some are going to be character specific. It says simply flick an ability icon to automatically lock onto and attack a target within range. And that's what it's showing here. So here you can see burst is active, and then these we can just flick upward and do attacks. But you can see here, this is lightning, and we have 3 attacks here that look like lightning is in the image, but then we've got like a selfie here, right? So, and earlier we saw in artwork that had Minwoo on it. I'm like, oh, if Minwoo has an ability, does that mean Minwoo's in the game? And no, it doesn't. It just means that Minwoo's art card or whatever, or ability art, I think is what they were calling it. It just means that's just a generic one that any character could use. So in theory, it could be that, like, if lightning's my DPS, I might still have like a healing button on there or something, right? Maybe there's a Minwoo card that heals or something like that. Here we have Kane. A lot of these look like Kane specific, and then this just looks like some type of wind attack or wind spell that's generic, right? And as we pointed out earlier, we do have rarities on these, so odds are that these ability arts are probably one of the things we're pulling for. They probably are going to have farmable free-to-play ones. There's probably going to be like a daily summon banner with like generic stuff on it. Like there's probably going to be a generic banner where there's going to be a lot of generic ones you can get, and then my guess is the campaigns will be highlighting specific like UR character ones, right? Once again, we'll have to see pull rates. We'll have to see how the banners work. We'll have to see how heavily they're monetizing this game. But there's just a lot up in the air right now, right? I'm still going into it with optimism. But yeah, I'm not as happy that what my hope is this part where like we're actually attacking the player characters. My hope is that maybe you're only attacking like the ones that are not being controlled by you, because that way the feeling is like I'm running around doing my attacking whatever, but I don't have people in my face like trying to attack me. I think that can get really annoying in PvP when it's like we're just out here fighting each other just to build brave, just so we can attack the boss. And the other thing we have to keep in mind too is how much of the game is this going to be? I mean, they are featuring it pretty heavily right now. I'm hoping that there are modes that are more solo based and not everything is going to be this like PvP versus a boss. If the whole game is PvP versus a boss like this, that's going to probably be a red flag to me, but we'll see. And you know, overall, I've been trying to stay pretty positive with this things, but yeah, there are some potential things that could worry me here. So it's not, you know, all nice, dandy roses here, right? Like there's definitely some things up in the air that I'm not sure about. I really hope I get into the beta because I would love to play this and try it out. Still, once again, looks fun enough and playable that I'm willing to try it. We'll just have to see how it plays. Here's another post they made. So this is showing the Minwu art. So they are featuring it here, but among abilities that can be equipped by any character are those inspired by past Final Fantasy characters who lend their powers to the warriors. Now, the other thing from this is, could this be a way of saying that Minwu won't be a playable character? Because this is the thing that's crazy, that I'm, you know, it's going to be very different than Defo, where Defo, we had a bunch of characters and we basically were summoning equipment kits for them. The way this game is starting to lay out, if we're literally only controlling one character, there might not be a huge ability, like a huge need to have a lot of different characters in this game. Because a character is going to be a commitment where we're summoning for 5 abilities. Once again, we'll have generic ones that could go on any character. But I just don't know, for a game like this, I'm worried it's going to have this Ever Crisis model where it doesn't have very many characters and we're just going to be shelling out tons of these abilities, right? That was the big thing I hated about Ever Crisis. Well, one, it was so locked into only Final Fantasy VII, and their quote-unquote collabs with other games were just costumes where they dress like different characters. So instead of getting Terra in the game, I just get an outfit where like maybe Aerith looks like Terra, right? Which I didn't like that. And then what that game did very early in its stages with Ever Crisis was it was really grindy. The characters had just like a bajillion things they equipped. So rather than having fun and getting new characters, you're just summoning basically new equips that kind of change the kits. And they were constantly drawing new equips. And I remembered the big thing that was frustrating with Ever Crisis was I was working on my first team and it was so grindy to get everything leveled up. And I remember I had just finally gotten like my first summonable, I think it was like a Cloud weapon or something. It was either Cloud or Red 13. I got like their first summonable like premium weapon maxed out. And like right when I did that, they just dropped a new banner that had a better weapon than it and was already obsolete. And that was like so frustrating. So yeah, there's definitely a lot up in the air on this game, a lot we still don't know. But let me know what you guys are thinking so far just based on what we're seeing on the battle system. If there's anything that you noticed that maybe I didn't, if you have different ideas, or maybe you agree with some of the things I'm saying, maybe you disagree and you think it's going to be a little bit different, you can feel free to let me know in the comments. Also, if you are interested in this game and want to keep up to date with news and updates on the game, I'm planning to cover it pretty heavily, so please definitely like and subscribe to the channel. And then I do have an established Discord with a large Final Fantasy group in there that loves talking about Final Fantasy stuff, so feel free to hop into my Discord. It is in the description of all my videos. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.